Good evening, welcome. It's Leicester Fan TV. It's 7:30. I'm Phil. If you're watching this live, we want your views, we want your comments. We'll send a link out if you want to click on it and come and tell us, but mostly put it in the comments and let us know. It's your show. What do you want to talk about? There is quite a lot to talk about as ever. We've just played Blackburn, another defeat, and we've got Portsmouth. We've got Borough tomorrow night. So lots and lots. We want loads of your comments on there. I don't want to set the agenda, but here's a few things to think about. 3 words to describe the performance against Blackburn. Can you just use 3 words to describe it? What is going wrong at the club? Because something is going wrong and we need it sorting pretty quickly. Does Marty take some of the blame? Does Marty take all the blame? I don't know. Could he actually get the sack if we lost to Borough tomorrow night? We'll probably be getting onto that. I don't want to start that. I hope he doesn't. I, for one, don't think he should. But I've heard people saying if we lose again, it could go. Strikers seems to be the problem. What do we do about that? And if you were Marty Cifuentes, what would you do to change it up? Because we need to change it up. We can't have 4 defeats on the trot. So there's loads and loads of things to talk about in the next half an hour right here on Leicester Fan TV. So start getting your comments in now.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, we are live for the next 30 minutes now. Thanks to Pucker, who obviously helped sponsor us. And don't forget, you can follow us at Leicester Fan TV on all socials. But let's get on with your comments because that's the most important stuff in there. Craig, watching on YouTube, says, good evening to everybody. I think we need a change at the top of the club. Do you agree with Craig there? Listen, Craig, that's not going to happen before tomorrow. So what do we need to do for tomorrow's game to stimulate some points? Let us know in there. Good evening to you, Alex. Good evening, Andy. Hope you're well. Sean, good evening. Tony says, there is a crisis in the striking department. 10 goals in 11 months at the King Pius Diet. That's a stat that I did not know, Tony. I know that we've only had 1 goal this season out the strikers. Somebody told me, again, I need fact checking, but Dak has scored 1 goal in 50 games for us. Is that true? That can't be true for a striker. But 10 goals in 11 months at the King Power, that is not great, is it? Good evening to LCFC Gray. Hope you're well. I'm hearing absolute rubbish about BC game being a curse. We're an absolute... I hear what you're being. There'll be superstitions. If you've got lucky pants, tomorrow is the night to put them on. But do you believe in any of that? I don't really, but I do wear this lucky jumper all the time, so maybe I do. 3 words: woeful, effortless, and crap. Can you do better than what Alex has said in there, Patrick? Good evening. Until the board changes, nothing else changes. Patrick is going for it starts with top at the top, and that's where it needs to change. I don't know if that is true. Do you agree with what Patrick says? Michael seems to. He says Top and KP are to blame, but they're also the heroes when we win the Premier League, the FA Cup, and play in Europe. So where do you want to go with this? Now, listen, we've got a couple of very special guests on here, and I want to put out the link. So if you want to come on and get involved, we're going to add in, first of all, Pete. Good evening, Pete.
Evening. How are we doing, everyone?
Very good. And I'm going to add Kate in at this stage as well. Good evening to you, Kate.
Evening, guys. Good
evening. Now, we'll start with Kate. Just briefly, Kate, tell us where you're from. We know you do lots of content on not just Radio Leicester, but Leicester Till I Die. So you get around and give your views, correct?
I get around a bit, yeah. I've got a big job, so it can spread quite far, to be honest. Yeah, I do a bit of BBC Leicester with yourself, Phil. Sometimes go on When You're Smiling. Yeah, I do Leicester Till I Die with Chris, and then I'm in the Blue Tinted Glasses gang as well. So, yeah, I get around a bit. And I do Jack channel occasionally, the Final Whistle as well. So, yeah, bit of a community thing, really. Server to my community is how I would describe it.
That's what I like to hear. But, Pete, just talk us through very briefly, introduce, for some people may or may not know who you are, just tell us briefly a background about your involvement, which started sort of at Leicester, and what you do now.
Yeah, I'm a football commentator, sports commentator. I've commentated at Leicester City for 10 years. for the glory years. So maybe the downturn in form is down to me not being there. Maybe that's the case. You might have heard me on for Fox 8 podcast. Been doing that for 12 years. But yeah, it's I've seen plenty of Leicester. Put it that way: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And at the moment, it's bad and ugly, just like me.
Listen, we try and get as many comments in as ever. Clive says here 3 words to describe Leicester: gutless, effortless, passionless. Pete, on Saturday, that's the first time this season, but I thought it many times last season. The last 15 or 20 minutes, I was like, I don't think they care. I don't think they're running around. What is the point of this anymore? Where do you want to start with Saturday's performance, Pete?
Well, nothing was right, was it? Nothing was right in the stands, with the players, with the manager, with the setup, with the people in the stands who were meant to be running the club because they weren't even there. There's all sorts wrong at Leicester. I think it's actually quite difficult if we actually talk about what's right at Leicester. You know, the shirt, the sponsor, you know, we can go into that. But overall, I always want to try and be positive. And I think for the first time, I'm struggling. I really am struggling with this side because it's got a lack of identity. I mean, we're looking at 3 words. I'm trying to think of what rhymes. I've got soulless, goalless, and I'm trying to find something else that rhymes with that. It was
Hopeless.
dreadful all round. Hopeless, anything. It was terrible. But that's a very obvious thing to say. Why was it terrible? I think mainly I in my role as a football commentator, I actually do a lot of work for Southampton, and I did their game against Blackburn before they obviously turned up at the King Power. And one thing that Blackburn did when they turned over Southampton at home is that they stuck with Southampton the whole game. They were outplayed in the first half. But what they did, they tackled hard. They tried. They won virtually every second ball. Southampton, very similar to Leicester, where if there is a 50-50 or a loose ball, they won't win that back. And then ultimately, in the second half, they put themselves in the position to be able to take chances, i.e. they had 2 forwards up top. And then once they got into the game, they took those chances. They gave themselves hope. They gave the home crowd hope by winning those tackles, by trying to win the tackles. And they turn up at the King Power, and I've been saying all last week, they're going to turn up and they're going to tackle hard. They're going to try hard. They're not as talented as Leicester, but what they will do, they will give every single thing that they've got in them to try and win those second balls. Now, what they do with that, we will see. But what they will also do, and this is one big bugbear of mine with Leicester, is they will play 2 up front. So if they do get beyond our fullbacks, which let's be honest, especially on one side, it's not very difficult, they will be able to pull the ball back, just like they did for the second goal, and they will have strikers in the position to be able to possibly take a chance. That's one thing at Leicester that we don't have. We just have a dearth of anything up front. But the fact that we're continuing to play one centre forward in a formation, which obviously gives a chance for the wings to do their stuff, and we've seen that this season, but it's just wide open in the centre for Carranza to stand there looking absolutely friendless. It was absolutely ridiculous. Touched the ball, 5 or 6 times in the first half, if that. We need to give them more help. We need to give the players a chance, but also they need to work hard, and that's what they didn't do. And that's all that we ask for as Leicester fans, whether in the Championship or in the Premier League.
I spoke with Reedy, who's going to come on in a minute. I spoke with him earlier today, Kate, and I said, Marty, I'm a backer of Marty because I like what he says. But for tomorrow night, I said, when we're getting our chips, because it's a night game on the way down to the game, you've got to go straight from work, get your chips, whatever. I said, when we're in that chip shop queue tomorrow night, when the team news is released, managers can make an impact an hour before the game with that team news. Now, I said to Reedy, if we're in that chip shop and you see maybe Ben Nelson at the back, you see Carranza and Daka starting at the top with Fatwa and Monga, and you go, blimey, we're playing 2 wingers, we're playing 2 up top. Everybody in the chip shop suddenly starts going, Martin's going for it. We're going to start attacking tonight. But if he pulls out the same sort of team again at an hour and 15, whatever, before the game kicks off, that chip shop queue, the pub, everybody sort of trudges up towards the King Power and goes, like Pete just said, against Blackburn, we're probably in for a beating. You're normally the voice of reason, Kate, and quite collected. What are your honest thoughts tonight on it?
What, on what team he decides to pick tomorrow?
Just Saturday, the team. Yeah, where do you want to start? What's your
Yeah,
number one?
I've never really
about?
thought about it from that point of view, Phil, that this team selection just does kind of set the tone in the moments leading up to the start of the match. And it was so quiet on Saturday, wasn't it? Even in the opening minutes, it was really quiet. And I think a lot of that was because it was the same team that we've kind of come to expect. And I've thought for years, even though we had a world-class striker, the one up top doesn't really necessarily suit Leicester's style of play, particularly in the last 3 or 4 seasons, where even Vardy has struggled to get off the ground with goals. So Marty has to change it. He must be seeing. It was quite obvious early doors for me. I think it was West Brom when he first tried JJ in the 10, and it was really obvious that didn't work, because the one positive I can see about Leicester and what Marty is responsible for is the JJ Winks partnership. And I find it criminal that you would ever want to split that up unless it's through injury. So putting JJ in the 10, I think a lot of fans feel the same, that you're just going to kill a lot of the engine room in the middle of the park. And JJ isn't the best in that role at all. You know, you could even put Mavadidi in that role if you wanted to, and put Mongo on the left. So I'm hoping for change tomorrow, because if he's seen that starting 11 on Saturday and thinks, yeah, I'm happy with that, I'll go for that again, then that does start to raise questions, and he's inviting unnecessary pressure before we've even kicked a ball. So it will be interesting to see what he does. But I've been banging this drum for a week or two now, and the latest poor form really is with Marty and the players, because as much as you want to slate the board, and there's a time and a place for that, and there's things they've done and haven't done, I think we could probably all unanimously agree that we thought that this squad was good enough when the window shut to get in the top 6/7/8. So if you think that we're good enough to potentially win the league or get promoted or whatever, that's all the board can do. The board can provide Marty with a squad, and the squad need to play to their potential and to their best talent. And that then lies with Marty. As soon as the window shuts, the board becomes ineffective because they can't do anything. So that's something to be mindful of as well. So it's all on Marty and the players for me, and that's where the blame lies at the moment.
I get that. Pete, you obviously worked not just at Leicester City when you're commentating, various other grounds, big events all around there. The momentum and the fans' noise normally can make a big difference in a positive way. Saturday, I was really quite surprised to hear the amount of booing at various stages during the game. Chants towards the end of "you're not fit to wear the shirt." It's very hard. It's a two-way streak, isn't it? I know Kate's saying about Marty and the players have got to do something. It's hard because you also need the people in the stadium to try and back something, but you've got to give them something to back, haven't you?
That's the thing. It's very easy if you're a footballer, and you've played football for a long time. The fact that if you want to get the crowd behind you, if you're a limited fullback, what can you do? You put in a strong tackle and you G up the crowd. You make a bursting run down the line. If it doesn't work out, never mind. Fans are not stupid. They can see efforts, and that's what they didn't see on Saturday. And if one player, maybe a substitution, maybe a young player, maybe someone coming on, if all of a sudden they do something not out of the ordinary, they maybe get a yellow card, they maybe put someone into an advertising hoarding, who knows? But all of a sudden, the crowd starts getting a little bit lively. These players have played football for a long time. They know how it works. And that's what was very disappointing as well. Apart from the end product and the formation and actually an end product, and all that didn't happen, we know. But it was that fundamental of football, the effort that all Leicester fans want to see. It was not there. And it was also, for the first time, I think, it wasn't there on the touchline. And I know we're a couple of days after Halloween, and I've got a little bit of a shiver down the back of my Leicester shirt here. But I'm seeing the ghost of Ruud van Nistelrooy by doing the same thing over and over again, and nothing changes. Nothing changes. And this formation at the start of the season, on For Fox's Sake and on many channels, we're all saying that it actually does allow our wingers to actually go at the opposition down the wing. Something that we've been wanting at Leicester for a while. The wingers to stay out wide, give the ball to Fataru on one side, give the ball to Mongo and Mavadidi on the other side. That's where the strength is in this Leicester side. Go at them. But at the moment, what we've got is we're isolating the centre forward up front. But what it does, it gives the ability to a number 10 in this formation. If you've got a really good number 10, it gives them the ability to do many things. Drop back and help the midfield, get the ball off the midfield. We've seen Maddison do that many times. Go and stand alongside the centre forward. go out wide and maybe have a little bit of a 1-2 or help the wingers in a move to get them to the byline to then pull the ball back. But we don't have that at Leicester at the moment, through mainly injury, etc. So the fact that he stands there on the touchline and looks at that side and goes, you know what? Our centre forwards haven't touched the ball in 25 minutes. Our number 10 that we don't really have at the moment, whoever's playing there has got a lot of space. But what we need to do is, and the wingers are staying out wide, and the only thing that can happen with Leicester is them cut in and maybe try and curl it into the far top corner, which fortunately has happened a number of times this season. But without that, they're standing out wide on the touchline, not doing an awful lot. And what they're also not doing is helping the fullbacks as well. And then when you're being put under pressure, when you've got maybe a clever opposition manager who looks at that and goes, hang on, we can get involved here, then all of a sudden, then you've got your fullbacks in an awful lot of trouble. And we saw that on Saturday with Christensen. But we want as Leicester fans effort. And if we're not getting efforts, then the manager's going to have to make some bold decisions. And I'm not entirely sure whether this manager has the ability to do that and whether he has the ability to drop these senior players who, at the moment, are not putting the effort in. I'm all for players putting a lot of effort in, making mistakes, and that's fine, because mistakes will happen in football. But if you're not putting the effort in, then that's on the players. But it's also on the manager if you do, and I think this is one of my real bugbears in football, if you have your star players, your one or two first-team players, who everyone acknowledges is the best player in the side currently, and that could be over a season, half a season, or in a 3 or 4 game spell. If they're playing well, you put them in their number 1 position. And to move James to a number 10, away from wings, where as soon as he played alongside wings, everyone went, those two work so well. He's got the legs, something you need in the midfield in the Championship, to get forward and get back, works really well with wings, and gives the ability for whoever's up front, whoever's the number 10, to do their stuff, because you've got that reliable player there. To move him further forward and to bring in Samare, who I've said for a million years now, he's never done it and he never will. He's never done it and he never will. It's my Christmas present to myself. I'm going to get a T-shirt. To have him back in the side, it's just a passenger. He's got broad shoulders, James, but he can't carry him.
Kate, I'm going to ask you a question, which is going to be, what would you change for tomorrow? But just before we come on to that, a couple of comments here. Tom says on YouTube, people work hard all week. And Tom, I hear exactly what you're doing, and I feel the same. And he says, and to watch people on 70 grand a week not even bother running, come on, mate, let's call it for what it is. I absolutely feel like that, Tom, at the moment. Jordan says that's all we ask for as fans, is for the players to try and give it their all, which is what Pete was talking about. LCFC Gray says that's all we ask for. Please just put in a shift. Kate, I agree with what Pete says. We don't need it to be the best quality. I wouldn't even know who the best quality players are at Leicester anymore, if I'm honest. But Kate, what would you do to make that team sheet better, to different? Because I was genuinely scratching my head after Saturday going, I don't really, I look at the bench, I look around, I'm like, I don't know what to do with the whole lot of them. All of them.
Swap. Yeah, I mean, defensively, I don't think that's our biggest problem. I mean, we know we can talk about the left-back situation until the cows come home, and it is a position that we need to recruit for, but it's not going to be the be-all and end-all of why we're not winning matches or not why we're not scoring goals is my biggest problem. I think these modern managers are more focused on position-based football, moving the opposition to create the space, and even defensively, just being a bit more defensive with tactics. I think a lot of this modern football has forgotten the very basic of basic football is to score more than the other team. It's not to have more possession than the other team. And it gets a bit boring, and it's probably why the Premier League has become a bit more boring. So we need to figure out the best way to go route one, really. And for me, that would be playing more attacking players, but also bringing Winks and JJ further forward on the transition. Because I don't know whether you noticed on Saturday, but there was a counter attack on, and Mavadidi, Fatawu, Carranza, and JJ were all in the final third, and our players, I think they defended a corner, hadn't left that other third when we were ready to cross. So you had arguably a back seven versus with a front four and nothing in between. And we are so bad on the transition. And some of that was effort. Like Samare and Winks couldn't be arsed on Saturday. Samare was jogging, and when he received the ball, he would then stand still and not move anywhere. He is a complete passenger. I agree. So I would bring more movement in the middle, really. Winks and JJ is a no-brainer for me. And then I really like Bobby, but I think I'd consider 2 up top. I know we've not got the best.
I'd 100% go 2 up top.
Just give yourself the best chance, because each time we've only got 4 players in attack and we can only put 2 in the box for whatever reason. There's only ever 2 in the box available. And with the low number of chances we're creating, all it does is put the pressure on to make you have to convert probably at least 80% of your chances per game, because you only create 4 to win a game. An 80% conversion rate is ridiculously high pressure on yourself. Generate more chances. If Mamadidi had 8 chances on Saturday, but rather than those really good 2 that he would arguably should have scored 1, he'd have scored 1 of them. But each time it's just like you don't know when the next chance is coming, because you're not giving yourself the best chance at scoring a goal. And that's the ultimate aim of the game. And the pace we have in the squad is never, ever utilised. So 2 up top, faster on the transition, and move Winks and JJ maybe 5 yards further forward.
I'm going to have Nick and Jamie Reid in, who've been waiting patiently. Thanks, lads, for waiting. Let's start with you, Nick. Nick, I'm going to chuck it out there. I think I've danced around it before, and I know that Pete said a little bit, and Kate, they might not agree with exactly what I'm going to say. But Nick, I think Harry Winks has checked out. I think he checked out last season when he didn't want to play for those 14 games at the end under Rude, and they fell out. He looked checked out to me in a lot of that game, certainly the last 20, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. I know Kate's saying play him and he plays well with Jordan James, but I don't know, what is your take on Harry Winks? Because the season we got promoted, he was that pivotal, what a star player.
Yes, but he was playing under Enzo, wasn't he? I mean, we all seen the photo, we miss you Enzo, of last season when they were all on a night out. So I agree with you in certain aspects of it, but the problem is, Phil, he's arguably our best centre midfielder we've got on the books. So really, I'd rather have him in the midfield than Soumare.
Yes,
Soumare. I'm sorry, that's the position we're in.
Yeah.
People can moan about Marty all they like, but the facts of the matter is the bloke wasn't given the tools to do his job. He didn't get a pre-season because Kingy did vast majority of it. He got 3 deadline day loan signings and 2 freebie goalkeepers. We've not had a playmaker in the team for years. We've lost our best player ever to wear a Leicester City shirt, arguably, in Jamie Vardy, who people said was over the hill. He's got 2 goals in 3 games. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
Well, and doing backflips. Not bad for a 38-year-old, is it? I mean, somebody put in the comments earlier, Reedy, that Vardy scored 2 goals this season for his Italian side, Cremonese, which is 1 more than our 3 strikers combined.
Mm-hmm.
And against Juventus as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I've been listening to what everyone else has been saying on here, and I completely agree. I called it when I was in the office earlier that to change it up, it's hard to change a team when you've basically got your best players out there already, but you've got to just change it up in some way. And for me, you go to a back 3. And to be honest, 2 years ago, we had Winks and Ricardo in that midfield, which I think, if anything, other than JJ and Winks, I think worked perfectly as well. So I'm not exactly saying to put Ricardo in the actual midfield instead of being a right back inverting, but you've got to get the ball moving from the midfield. And I think the only way of doing that is by packing out that midfield more and leaving less at the back, which I know might be a bit more exposed at the back. But right now, for me, I'd rather be scoring more goals, and I don't really mind how many we concede as long as we win a game.
Which is what Kate was saying.
You got
you're
to
never going to win if you don't score.
No, so that for me is what I'd change going into tomorrow night. Again, we've seen the likes of Ben Nelson and all that, where we were saying at the start of the season that there's majority of fans would have preferred him to be a starter this season. We've seen him 1 game and he's not been the best. But if you move to a back 3, I think you do get the issue out of the left back role, which means I know they might play tomorrow, but it'll be less in defence and more going forward. But
we've heard that Ben Nelson is going to start tomorrow, haven't we?
From what we know of, yes. But again, it could always change. But in my opinion, going to a back 3,
our guy tells us he's going to start.
Yes, and Ben Nelson like I say, going to a back 3 with Ben Nelson and hopefully a few other players changed as well. There's every chance that we can go for a result, but at least we've seen change because, we both said earlier, that Marty has probably got into a mind now where he's going, if what we don't win another few games now, then my job could be up. So he's going to try and do something.
Really, that's the question. I'm going to start with Pete, and I'm going to put it on screen. I want everybody who's watching this in the comments. Listen, and I'm going to state it here. I've said it. For me, we stick with Marty for the whole season. I could change my mind if he keeps doing a Ruud van Nistelrooy, which I hope he's not going to. But I say stick with Marty because we've had Cooper, we've had Ruud, we've had now Marty. For me, it's the players. But I can't change 25 players. So my question to everybody here is, how much of this does Marty take the blame? Could he actually get sacked if we lost to Borough tomorrow night? I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but Pete, let's start with you. How close do you think we are to Marty? Pete, you've done work, like you say, for Southampton. They've sacked Will Still today. They're in a worse position than us. How close do you think Marty is if we were to lose at home tomorrow? Do you think he'd get the Norwich game and then, wow, if he lost like those two? Where are you on this?
I think the Norwich game is vital. I don't think he will be sacked if Leicester perform the way that they did against Blackburn. He might, but if they lose against Middlesbrough and then they lose to Norwich, I think he will go. I'm always a big fan of when people say, "I think the manager should go," and then when someone says, "Oh, yeah, who would you have in place of them?" and they go, "Oh, I have no idea." I think that's great because why do you want him gone then? Well, who's going to replace him? You've got to have an idea of who you want to replace. And the news right now is, and I wanted him as Leicester manager actually before Marty Cifuentes, and that's that Gary O'Neill's turned down Wolves. Now, I know in the middle of a season, changing manager, it's not great, etc., and we're not exactly in the relegation zone. Might not be long. But for me, if you have a manager who wants to come to the club, who has an idea of what he wants to do, and he wants to do something different, and the manager currently that we have, who may, and I don't blame Marty Cifuentes, up until now, who may be slightly in that kind of Ruud van Nistelrooy, as I mentioned, that joke earlier about the ghost of Ruud. But if he's carrying on the way he's doing, if he's going to carry on playing the same formation, the same players, and there's no effort, and all of a sudden you get the impression as Leicester fans, and then all of a sudden leaks come out of the changing room that he lost the changing room, they're not playing for him. Guess what? It might not be Marty Cifuentes' fault. It just might not be the job for him. He might be a manager in, say, a Brendan Rodgers ilk, where if things are going right, he's the right guy for the job. But he can't turn around a dressing room which has a lot of senior players who are here picking up big money, who probably want to leave. Let's face it, they do. And he's not the right guy who can come in and change things around. He's looking at these players going, well, these are the best players in the football club. And he's just not got the ability to drop them, to change things around, to maybe move to a 4-4-2, which I would do for the game against Middlesbrough straight away with those two centre forwards. Yeah. So my answer is, do you think he'll go? Possibly, if they can get the right person in. I don't think it's reached that stage at the moment that he's going to be sacked purely on results. But I'm saying that on the basis of the game before Middlesbrough, the day before Middlesbrough. If it gets to Saturday and they lose to Norwich, I think he will go, regardless of if there's a manager waiting in the wings.
I mean, Kate, I hate to say, could Marty go? But you were earlier on saying it's Marty and the players have to make the changes. So where are you on this?
Yeah, Marty has to shoulder some of the responsibility, but that's completely different to wanting him gone. He has to shoulder responsibility because, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the where it's going wrong at the moment, I'm not talking about the last 5 years, I'm just talking about the here and now. Where it's gone wrong at the moment is we've gone from a team that people were pretty much dead cert we're going to finish top 6 and
I wasn't, Kate, just to put that out there. I was never convinced.
But they, you know, that's on Marty and the players. To me, it's way more on the players. But Marty has to learn from his mistakes as well. But how do you learn from your mistakes if you're sacked before you have the opportunity to? So what I would say I'm a little bit concerned about the Norwich game is that Norwich play Sheffield Wednesday on Wednesday. And if they lose that, he could get sacked. And then we've got a potential new manager Bounce to work with on Saturday as well. So that is a tough one, but that's out of our hands, isn't it? But look, I don't want Marty gone. I think culturally is the best fit since Ranieri. I like what he's about. His signings, which is the only chance he's had to prove himself, have been really good in JJ and Ramsey. So he shows that he knows what he's doing and he knows what type of player he wants, and they've been able to work for him. Ramsey, I'm not sure if he'll ever properly get going, because he reminds me of Ricky Bates with some of these injuries that he's got, and Carranza.
Carranza, you're saying he's a good signing?
Jury's still out. I don't think he's had 200 minutes. So how can you give him, unless he starts missing sitters? We don't play football to suit a number 9. So when people say we're desperate for number 9, I honestly don't think it'd make any difference if I was up front.
Not the way we play, Kate. Not the way we're playing.
Not the way we're playing. It doesn't matter. You stifle yourself every single time. So a number 9 is almost a bit redundant. So yeah, I like Marty. I want him to stay because I think he's got the right attitude and application. And I find these managers all much of a muchness, to be honest. We'll bring another one in. He'll want the same style of play. The players aren't up for it. And we're talking the players again about the quality of the players or their attitude. And this is echoes of what Ruud said last year. Ruud said last year the players weren't good enough. I didn't like Ruud, but there might be something in that. And until you can wash these players through and get them through their contracts and out the door, no manager is going to be able to do properly the change that we need. Yeah.
Nick, Marty Cifuentes is quoted in today's Mercury saying he's angrier than the fans about the performance. How close, Nick, do you think we are with all this? Are we just one winner? We win tomorrow and we win at Norwich and life's great again? Are fans getting carried away?
No, I think personally, mate, I'm at that point now where I think the rot has set in a little bit, where we got relegated again, didn't we? And I mean, I've heard Pipe say it numerous times this season, where once that slump is hit the players, it's very hard for them to get out. I like Marty Cifuentes. I think he says the right things. I think he's trying to do the right things, but he's probably the wrong type of manager for us as a club, because he's another one of these tiki-taka, pass it around 50,000 times before you get anywhere near the opposition box. We've been told left, right and centre that's how Top wants us to play. Personally, I can't stand it. I think you don't benefit from it whatsoever. I can't see what the problem is with going 4-4-2 tomorrow night and hitting them on the transition, as it's called now. Everybody's moaning about Carranza, but what people are forgetting, he's used to playing in with a strike partner. And asking him to lead the line on his own all of a sudden. Daka did his best work with Salzburg, with Haaland in the 2. There's a reason why he's not scored in nearly a calendar year. He was doing all right when he had Vardy up top with him and stuff like that. Why all of a sudden we've gone all these years ago? We won the Premier League playing transition football, hitting people on the counter attack, using our pace, working as a defensive unit. And then all of a sudden, because Pep Guardiola comes to this country and then decides to play 50,000 passes around the box, everybody's got to play it. That's where our identity went. Yeah.
Reedy, you said to me earlier today, we were having a little chat on this, and you said you have only got so much patience left with Marty Cifuentes, and yet you're the biggest person I know who loves this, Nick doesn't like, and I'm not a fan of, tappy football.
Yeah, I think the only reason
the board must want it, Reedy.
The board do want it.
Yeah,
I think the anomaly was Cooper, and I think that was more because when we got back up to the Premier League, we wanted to make sure we stayed in the Premier League. But again, I just don't think it was the right fit for us. But like you said, I've only got so much more patience with Marty, not because I don't like him or not because I don't think he's right, but I just think the results are just going to go against him. Because like always I've said, that it doesn't matter what he does with the players. He's choosing nearly the best players we've got, and he still can't get a win. So I don't think the results. If we lose tomorrow and then we lose on Saturday, I think that's his job gone just because of the results, not because of how badly he's done. I don't think that the results are going to give him anywhere near a chance to stay in the job. So hopefully we beat them tomorrow. I think hopefully he's changed the team enough to try and go for it. Like Nick said, I think both strikers, if whoever we start, if there's a front two, I think both of them have a better chance in scoring because they've been used to playing with a man next to him. But again, then if we get a result against Middlesbrough tomorrow, it comes down to Norwich, and realistically, out of all the teams at the moment, they are in a really bad form. So you probably should be beating them as well. But I know no game's on paper, is it? So
no, and I think most fans I think most fans still are backing Marty, although I have seen since Saturday a lot more comments of he's not the right fit, but he is the right fit for the business model that is playing this possession-based football. He's exactly right for what the club have been asking for managers, if you ask me. I'm going to go around each one of you very quickly, and people watching it, I do want some score predictions, because I've got to be fair, last week, most fans leading up to the Blackburn game predicted that Blackburn would beat us. So fans went into that game saying we're going to lose. We ran a Twitter poll asking for score predictions. Most people went for a Blackburn 2-1 or 2-0 win, and it's exactly what's happened. So I'll start with Pete. Pete, just very briefly, score predictions and what do you think will happen tomorrow night?
Middlesbrough, I've done a couple of games this year. They're a very balanced side. That's what they are. They're very balanced. And what they have a little bit more talent than most of the teams in the Championship. And I can see plenty of boos. I can see plenty of red shirts jumping up and down in the away end. And I can see a 3-0 away win. I really can. They have the talent to put Leicester to the sword. Leicester don't score first. I can see Borough winning quite easily. And, well, maybe we will have a different manager in on Saturday. Who knows? 3-0 Borough.
Blimey. Blimey. Pete.
He's gone for it. He's gone for it.
Do you agree with Pete? Put it in the comments. Kate, let's come to you, Kate, please.
God.
Honest views. Your honest views.
I was thinking I didn't want to go first, and then now I've just heard Pete, so I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I don't know where to go from there. I'm going to stay a bit confident. I feel like the players hopefully have learned from things on Saturday that the fans were not happy, and it's unacceptable. And I'm going to go for a squeaky 1-0 win.
Squeaky 1-0. We'll take that.
That's a clean sheet as well.
That's a clean sheet. Kate, are you sure about that? Clean sheet.
I'm not sure about anything to do with Leicester. I'm not sure about anything.
Nick, let's come over to Nick. Nick, honestly, we've got two there. We've got obviously Pete's 3-0. We've got Kate's 1-0. Where are you going to go, Nick, with this?
I'm Team Pete, mate. I think we're going to get battered tomorrow night. I'm going to go 3-0. If you
3-0 again?
Yeah, because honestly, I don't see it changing. The rotter's set in, mate. I can't see anything else.
But I mean, Nick, if it's 3-0 like you and Pete are saying, and it's going down that route, players have checked out, fans are going to boo, blah blah blah. This is only going to end up one way, isn't it? With like you said, another defeat against Norwich and Marty Cifuentes sacked.
Yeah, but again, it's up to the players to roll the socks up and leave it out on the pitch. You know, you go to work, Reedy goes to work, supposedly. I go to work, we try our hardest and we get paid. You know, we work hard for our tickets to go and watch them play. But, you know, the one thing we can expect as fans going to that game tomorrow night is to see 11 players on the pitch wearing the Fox, trying their hardest to get the 3 points or a point. If the fans see that, they'll get behind them. But if they don't, and they see like the laziness, like Blackburn, that's when the boos will come out, and everybody's got their full right to do that.
Yeah, I'm putting score predictions up as we go through it. Reedy, where do you go?
If what our sources are correct, and he has changed to like a back three with 2 strikers, I'm gonna go confident and think I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win. We're not gonna not concede. We're gonna concede. But if he still decides to go back to the classic 1 striker up front with a Mavididi and Fatawu on the wings, I'm gonna call it a 2-0 loss. Just because the players aren't performing to their highest ability. I know Fatawu tries his best. For me, Mavididi's an absolute goner at the moment. And again, we need to have some sort of change in the team. And hopefully, from what we've heard of, that there is a change tomorrow night. So hopefully a 2-1 win.
And this is why I come back to Kate. I was saying earlier about the chip shop queue, about setting the scene for the fans, because this is absolutely miserable listening to these. We're going to lose 3-0. We're going to lose 3-0. And, you know, the people in the comments, most people are going for a Borough win, which I kind of understand why. But I think if Cifuentes does change the team selection and fans go in there thinking at least he's had a try, at least he's tried something different, and we still end up losing, but we've had a go. I think fans always accept that, Kate, don't they? They'll accept if players have put a shift in. But Saturday, for me, they checked out.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's the right message to send to the squad as well. Like, it must be quite disheartening for those peripheral players where they see the starting 11 has been nothing but woeful over the past handful of games at least, and it's probably been a steady decline since the start of the season. So to think that you're not getting in and the same players keep playing must be quite demoralising as well, and you've got to keep as much of the squad happy as possible. So they'll be playing with vigour. Hopefully, if you make some changes, they'll be playing with the motivation that they want to be a mainstay in the team. If it's Nelson, for example, he's got a point to prove because he's had this Huddersfield performance pinned on him, and it's not, the shit's stuck, hasn't it? I think he's been injured for the past month, so it'd be nice to see if he can pull out a performance. But look, the staleness in the team and the general thread of the feeling amongst the team has just been the same for such a long time. I can't remember when I saw players go out of the tunnel and look like they're properly up for it as an 11. You see the odd ones for sure. Fatawu never doesn't try. Fatawu's attitude's great. And there's
Fatawu not happy at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Cifuentes having to, I don't know what was said, it was hard to see, but he was having to calm Fatawu back down.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we parked up at the beginning of the season, don't forget, when we were booing. You know, he went on social media saying we should all get behind him, this, that, and the other. But the problem
Do you think Fatawu was upset against the fans then?
Possibly, because there was booze at full. Well, there was booze throughout the game, wasn't there? Let's be fair.
And that's a good thing.
It's on the players to roll the sleeves up and get stuck in. You're paid to do a job. Go out there and do it.
I'm just not sure they
guys,
ability.
We can probably talk for another 2 hours with everybody's comments, so I appreciate that, and it's been fantastic to get you guys on. Let's just quickly, Kate, where do people follow you on Twitter if they want to keep up with where you are?
I'm on Twitter at Kate Blakey40, so I tend to just do match day tweets generally. So yeah, hit me up on there.
Fantastic. And Pete, just what's the best way for people to follow what you do and catch up with all your commentary and everything that you do?
Well, for Fox 8 podcast, going for 12 years, and if you want to give us a listen, you can do, or watch on YouTube. So at FFS Pod, or if you want to follow me at Pete Selby, and you can see what I'm up to either in the world of football or racing or wherever they want my voice. But maybe on tomorrow night, I'm still sticking with 3-0 because in that chip shop queue, I don't think the reason is I don't think they're going to change their mind. I don't think they're going to change the team. I don't think Cifuentes has it to change it. That's why I've gone 3-0. But at Pete Selby, at FFS Pod, 4 for Fox 8. But yeah.
Fantastic. Well, me and Reedy will be in the chip shop queue. We'll be having mixed meat and chips, won't we, Reedy? That is one thing I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow night. The rest of it, it might be all downhill from that team. We shall see. But listen, thanks so much for everybody for joining us. Thanks for all the comments that have come in on screen. It's been great to get Pete, Kate, Nick, and Reed in there. And most of all your views, all your comments in, because we can't do Leicester Fan without all your views. So I appreciate that so much. Last comment is going to go in to Dorkso, who's watching on YouTube. He says, if wingers have to cut inside, they're not real wingers.
Yeah.
God, that's another 10-minute debate, and we haven't got time for that. So thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next week. And if you're down at the ground tomorrow, obviously, we'll see you in the chip shop queue. If not, in the Fox and Saw for a pint. Cheers all. Come on, Leicester.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.